Hey everybody, John here. Just wanted to let you know that this week's episode of the 90s podcast is marked E for explicit. Not because of bad language, but some of the topics that we talk about are a little uncomfortable and might not be suitable for our younger audience. Listener discretion is advised, and if you go ahead and listen forward, that's on you, not us. We've given you this warning, okay? Take it easy everybody and enjoy the show. What's up everybody? This week I'm joined by Sarah as we sit down and talk about an album that is very, very deep in meaning, very, very loud in production. Cold Live Through This. That and a whole lot more is to come on this week's episode of the 90s podcast. Welcome to the show.
No.
I paused for that one because I knew that was coming. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 90s podcast right here in the Because My Network. Hope you're doing well today. Sorry, my throat is a little throaty. It's first thing in the morning. Like, it's not even 8 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, yeah, but...
Yeah. It's been a long time since we've recorded this early in the morning. The last time we did that was Clueless back in season 3, I think.
It's been a minute, yes.
Been a minute. But we are here. So, Sarah, how are you? I'm joined by Sarah.
I am well, Scratchy Throat McScratcherton.
I know, right? I'm a little scratchy this morning.
You know what that means?
Huh.
That means you could properly sing a whole song right now.
Oh.
Because that vocal cord ripping scream stuff?
Yeah.
You'd be able to do it.
I'd be able to do it. You wouldn't want me to do it, but I'd be able to do it. I sound like a parrot being drowned in soapy water.
It'd be okay.
Yeah, I'll be okay. So, yeah, we're talking Hole today.
Yeah.
But before we go ahead and get started, if you like what you hear, go check out becausemaybepodcast.com. That's where you find our archive of everything that we've ever done. Go check out Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's where you find the latest news and what's happening. And don't forget to check out Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podchaser, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podbean, Amazon Music. That's where you'll find this very podcast if you were listening to this on something that you don't usually listen to podcasts on.
Yes.
I'm weird about getting that thing out the door every single time. I've got that off the top of my head. That's surreal. I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I can remember what we're on. So we're talking about Hole this week. Mm-hmm. This is our 101st episode. This is originally going to be our 100th episode.
Right.
But I decided to do something the special show for it.
Yes.
But we're talking about one of Sarah's favorite bands this week.
Yes, we are. Hole. Yes.
Hang on one second. Are you okay?
I'm okay. It's just you sound like you're a cheese grater and you sound miserable.
No, I'm actually not.
You sound like the most miserable who's ever did. I swear to God.
So, Sarah, you are a big fan of the band Hole.
Yes, I am.
You are like an expert on all things Courtney Love in this era.
I wouldn't say expert, but I mean, I would at least have my bachelor's.
Okay. Well,
maybe not a PhD, but I'd have a bachelor's with the few master's classes thrown in.
Okay,
yes.
that's good enough for me. I mean, that's. I mean, not all of our experts are experts, but when did you discover Hole?
Well, right about the time. I mean, okay, I had heard a couple of songs, especially off this album. And then when she went on tour at 95, 96
okay.
is really when
So about 14, 15.
Yes.
And, excuse me. What did you make of them first? Because I know you were a fan of the Riot Girl scene, and Hole kind of grew up around it, but not in it.
Sort of. It depends on who you ask. I mean, some people would firmly say that they were definitely in that scene. They were one of the major players of that scene back in the day. The whole Riot Girl, Kinder Horror movement, all of that whole sort of encapsulated.
Okay.
So, yes. But it was just that age for a girl is you have a lot of anger.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of just because young women put up with an amazing amount of bullshit.
Correct.
Just from what's expected from ourselves, internally and externally in all of our relationships. So Having an outlet like this was amazing. So, yes.
Okay, well, let's talk about the album real quick. It's Whole Live Through This, released in
Yes.
1994 on April 12th. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about why that is significant here in a little while. Reached number 52 on the Billboard charts, which for an album of its type, not bad.
Right.
Not bad at all. Reached 13 in the UK charts, sold 2 million copies roundabout, and it was produced by my old friend Paul Q. Caldery. I think I said it right there. And Sean Slade, released on the DCG label, which is kind of a offshoot of Geffen Records.
Yes.
And it was an alternative grunge and punk album.
Yes. Absolutely.
So how do we get to this point? Well, in 1991, the band released their debut, Pretty on the Inside. Sales were alright, at best. You know, it was okay, sales-wise. But the reception to the album, the critics loved it.
Oh, yeah. It was a damn good album.
But following the tour to promote Pretty on the Inside, original members Carolyn Rue and Jill Emery, left the band citing artistic differences. They wanted to go in a different direction than what Courtney Love and Eric Ulanson?
It just Eric.
Than what Eric and Courtney wanted to go in.
Right.
Okay.
So they ended up recruiting Patty Schemmel as a replacement for Rue. And the band were rehearsing in L.A. when the Rodney King riots broke out. In the aftermath, the band relocated to Carnation, Washington, to a house owned by Courtney and Kurt to continue writing and rehearsing new material.
Yeah, Eric Erlandson said in Spin in 2014, we'd been going more pop, less journal entry noise stuff.
Yeah.
And Courtney Love said in the same interview that I was very competitive with Kurt because I wanted more melody, but I already wanted that before Live Through This. So they wanted to kind of move away from not the anger, but more or less, they wanted to have more melody in their songs. Kind of like what Nevermind was. It had a lot of melody, but it had a lot of anger.
Yes.
But not specifically like Nevermind. That's an example,
Yes, and that opens the door for conversation.
Yes.
But let's keep going through this background here. During this time, the band were in negotiations with Geffen. They ended up with a 7-album deal with a $1 million advance and a royalty rate considerably higher than most of the bands of the day, including Nirvana.
So Geffen had high hopes for Hole.
Yes.
They really did, because, like I said, they weren't the biggest band of that era, but they were getting the biggest royalty share. Mm-hmm. Which, in Ray, when they were negotiating the royalty share, it was like, 5 cents a record.
Right. So the band ended up retreating to Rio to record 5 demos. These sessions were originally used for Nirvana for recording demos for their upcoming album In Utero. During breaks and sessions, Love and Schemmel would record several songs, including Miss World, She Walks on Me, I Think That I Would Die, and Softer Softest.
So it was around this time that the band recruited Kristen Pfaff. Pfaff,
yes. Pfaff was traditionally a trained cellist as well as a phenomenal bass player.
Yeah, Eric Erlandson said that's when we took off all of a sudden. We became a real band when she came on board. Mm-hmm. That was in Spin magazine in 2014.
Yes. And on the recommendation of Billy Corgan, the band went to Triclop Sound Studios to record the album.
Now, that's a conversation in itself.
Yes.
Because Courtney Love and Billy Corgan had a very, very love-hate relationship.
Yes.
And
okay. First, Courtney Love and everybody at that time had a very, very love-hate relationship. Courtney and herself had a love-hate relationship.
Yes. But, I mean, the most pronounced of all those was with Mr. Corgan.
I would recommend Mr. Reznor would be right up there in that, too.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
No, I got you, yes.
They also hired Sean Slade and Paul Q. Caldery to produce the album. Mm-hmm. They were impressed with their work with the Radiohead album Pablo Honey.
Yes.
So the polishing of Pablo Honey is good, but the album itself is not that good.
Right.
To be honest, and we probably won't cover it on this podcast. We will cover the other Radiohead album that was released during that time, which is OK Computer, but we probably won't do Pablo Honey. But that's a different story for a different day. Mm-hmm. The sessions were seen as hyper-productive as the band continued to work on material the whole session. We never finished writing. We were writing the whole time, trying to come up with more and more songs, because even though it looked like we had a good, solid album, we knew we were missing some pieces. We were still writing intensely and frantically putting songs together. It was like, oh, we have these 12 songs, they're done, and we're going to go on the record now, said Eric Erlandson in Spin magazine.
After the basic tracks were complete, the band was visited by Cobain, who was set to go out on tour. Kurt was convinced by the band to do some backing vocals, and initially reluctant, he did provide backing vocals for Asking For It and Softer Softest.
I mean, the sessions were going smoothly. You know, fast bass lines were not altered from the original rough tracks, as they was considered perfect.
Yes.
To keep the fierceness of Love's vocal delivery, she wasn't double-tracked, which was the production style at the time.
Right.
So, you know, everything's going well. You know, I mean, as well as it can go for the environment that these bands would be around.
Yes, like major drug use, circled by the band with crystal meth and heroin being constantly used in the sessions.
Yes, which, you know, you can kind of hear through the music.
Yeah, but the album was finished by October of '93 with legendary alternative producer Scott Litt mixing the final product. His name has come up before in the podcast.
Yes, Scott Litt is legendary. He really, really is. But they released the album, and tragedy stuck.
Well, they were going to release the album, yes.
Yes. A double tragedy struck the band, really, when you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, just after the release, I think it was a week after the release, or a week before the release.
It's a week before release.
Week before release, Kurt Cobain committed suicide 1 week before the release of it.
Yes.
He was 27.
Yes.
And even more damning for the band, Kristen Pfaff was found dead in her apartment after a apparent overdose, just days before embarking on the world tour. She was also 27.
Yes.
So she's part of the 27 Club also.
And Pfaff was replaced on tour and in the band by Melissa Oftemar, who I adore.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, because I wouldn't have been able to pronounce it.
Yeah. So here's the thing, and here's where it gets all yuckadoo.
Yeah.
Okay. Due to the sudden death of Cobain, rumors were started that he had ghostwritten the album. However, these have been debunked many times through the years, including by an biography of Kurt. Drummer Patty Schemmel, who is a longtime friend of Kurt's, stated that Love and Erlandson wrote the album. Courtney Love was absolutely insulted by the insinuations, saying, "I wanted to be better than Kurt. I was really competing with Kurt, and that's why it always offends me when people would say, 'Oh, he wrote Live Through This.' I'd be proud as hell to say that he wrote something on it, but I wouldn't let him. It was too Yoko Ono for me. It's like, no fucking way, man. I've got a good band. I don't need your fucking help." Here's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's a quote from her from Spin in 2014. All right, so here's the thing. All right. You need to look at the origin albums for both bands.
Yeah.
If you listen to Pretty on the Inside and you listen to Bleach, okay? When those two albums first came out, Pretty on the Inside outsold Bleach initially. Yeah. Hole had way more buzz than Nirvana initially, okay? And if you look at the sounds of both bands on the time, Pretty on the Inside sounds more like Live Through This than Bleach sounds like Nevermind. So it could. There's also the argument. Now look, I don't think anybody ghost wrote anything.
No.
There is the argument though that Courtney had more of an effect on Kurt's sound than vice versa.
Yeah.
Because as they were discussing, they were looking for a more pop-ish sound, which if you listen to Celebrity Skin, which is the album after this, it evolved into.
Yeah.
So there is a natural progression through that. Whereas Nirvana was very, like, there was Bleach, and then they were, you know, shined up, you know, buffed out before Nevermind. So I think it's safer to say that maybe, y'all don't come for me too hard, I don't think anybody wrote anybody's music. I do think that you're not gonna have two musicians in the house and they're not be, you know, and they're not influenced. Well, not even competitive, but just be influenced by each other.
Yeah. Okay,
that's not gonna happen.
Well, let me ask you a question, right?
Sure.
This you want people not to come for you. I'm going to pose a question that will make people come for you.
Oh, joy. Okay.
Well, and I say this as an Oasis fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because critically, Oasis only had 2 albums. Critically, okay? Did Nirvana only have 1 album?
No, Nirvana had Nevermind and In Utero, and Utero's fabulous. I mean, I think so, anyway.
Okay. Well, you like to stand on the shoulder of giants as well, though. So.
I know. I'm an odd duck. So.
Okay. No, that's fine, because here's the thing, right? you mentioned Bleach. Bleach came out in 89, I think, and Live Through This came out in 91. Live Through This came out at the same... Not Live Through This, excuse me.
Pretty on the
Inside. That came out in 91, which is around about the same time that Nevermind was released, because Nevermind came out in 91.
All right.
But Courtney'd been in the scene longer than Kurt.
Yeah, I mean, you know, she was in Faith No More for a very brief amount of time. Babes in Toyland for another brief amount of time. And a couple other bands. I mean, Courtney was out there.
Okay. And like I said, you know, that's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people have this image of Courtney Love riding the coattails, and it's not the other way around. At the same time, it's, you know...
Yeah, here's the thing. She didn't need him.
She didn't need him.
Let's back up for a second. Well, she was money hungry. No. Courtney Love was a trust fund baby.
Yeah.
Her mother was... I can't remember if her mother was a Bausch or a Lom, but she was one of them. And her dad was in the music business. Her dad was a manager for the Grateful Dead for a while.
Oh, that's...
Now, granted, well, yeah, because he used to put acid in her bottle when she was a baby, which...
explains a lot.
So much. But also, Courtney was an actress. Yeah. Courtney was in the Sid and Nancy movie.
Yep.
Courtney was in... she was in a Western. I don't remember which one it was. But also, she was around enough scenes to where Andy Warhol even put her on one of his 15 Minutes of Fame things back in the day. Okay, now, did she waste a lot of her money on drugs? Absolutely. But Courtney, I mean...
Yeah.
She didn't need it.
No. And like I said, like we said a minute ago, her band... after Nevermind got a bigger cut of the pie than what Nirvana would have gotten. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's yeah. We can put that to bed right now. Courtney Love did not need Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain did not need Courtney Love artistically.
Right.
Compare them. They might have bounced ideas off each other.
Right.
They might have, you know, collaborated every now and then. Mm-hmm. But in the grand scheme of things, they didn't need each other.
Right.
So,
yeah.
All right, let's look at who was on this album. So you got Courtney Love, lead vocals, rhythm guitar. Mm-hmm. Eric Erlandson, lead guitar. Kristen Pfaff, bass guitar, backing vocals and piano.
Yeah.
And Patty Shamel on drums.
Yes.
You had Dana Kletter from, I've got the name written down, from one of the Riot Girl bands.
Yeah.
Does backing vocals on tracks 1, 2, 4, 6, and 8 and 9. Mm-hmm. And Kurt Cobain does backing vocals on tracks 4 and 8.
Right.
And it's produced by Paul Caldry and Sean Slade, mixed by Scott Litt, Jay Maskis, and Bob Ludwig.
Yes.
So, heavyweights on this album.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, even if those names don't ring true to people who are not involved in production and live sound and stuff, those guys right there are people who you want working on your record. So, all right, we're going to look by track, and all songs are written by Courtney Love and Eric Erlandson unless we say otherwise.
Yes.
So, not Kurt Cobain, they're written by Courtney and Eric, okay?
Yes.
So we start with Violet. So this is regarded as one of the band's signature songs, and is inspired by Courtney Love's relationship with Billy Corgan.
Yes.
And also parallels Love's relationship with Cobain. However, Courtney Love did confirm, roundaboutly, that it was about Billy Corgan. Because in 1995, she went on later with Jools Holland, one of Britain's premier music shows, and said, "This is a song about a jerk. I hexed him, now he's losing his hair." So in 1995, Billy Corgan started losing his hair.
Uh-huh. There are themes of sexual exploitation in there, violence, self-abasement, and resentment as well. The song's explosive dynamics and raw emotional delivery set the tone for the entire album. It's a powerhouse rock track known for its dynamic shifts between quiet verses and explosive choruses.
Yeah.
And it's comparable to works by Bessie Smith and Janis Joplin. And it was voted in 2010 as the 9th fiercest breakup song of all time by the Daily Beast.
What do you think of that song? Because I can't understand her, and what I mean by that is it's not just my ADHD, you know, not grasping song lyrics until I actually sit down and listen to the song about 8 times to kind of grasp them. She half mumbles, half sings.
Well, no, I mean, she growls, not mumbles, but yeah. No, I mean, I love this song, and it's like, again, you have to... I'm viewing it through my lens of the time. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was, imagine, okay. I know I'm rambling here. Sorry. The first time I got a hold of this album, a friend of mine was staying the night and she had it on cassette. Okay. We're taking it back. So, imagine little old me, little old whatever. And then I hear this and I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. Because it was angry and I was angry.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And it just, it spoke. So, yeah.
I'm going to ask you this real quick. How bad was the relationship between her and Colgan? Because one minute they were having an affair, next minute they hated each other's guts, and then they're friends again, and then he's recommending production studios to her, and then they hate each other again. I mean...
Well, you have to look at who they are. They are, and I love Courtney. These are two of the most pretentious people who have ever existed on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
And so, there's layers, you know? Yeah, and like kind of attracts like.
Okay.
And when you have two people who are at that same level of, you know, there's only so much room in the room for ego.
And the pair of them had big egos.
Oh, yeah.
Huge egos.
So it would depend on the day and the venue and the weather, really, on how that was. So, yeah.
Billy Corgan is known more these days through some people for his wrestling than he is through his music.
Which is hysterical to me.
Yeah. Because he bought the National Wrestling Alliance.
Yeah.
So.
But, I mean... I don't know. I don't really care for Corgan.
Yeah.
I mean, go talk to DRC.
Ooh.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Bang, bang. Shoot,
yeah.
Now, before we go ahead and continue, I should warn people that some of the subjects and some of the songs that we talk about are not family friendly. So we've already said this is an explicit episode. Be warned, we've got some stuff coming up that we're going to be talking about that is not the most comfortable thing in the world to talk about. I should have said that before we talked about Violet, but that's...
Yeah.
I didn't gloss over it. I genuinely forgot to say it, so my apologies. But from here on out, there are some issues that are going to be tough to talk about.
Yeah.
So, next track is Miss World. This track touches on themes of self-image and the facade of perfection, as well as the harshness of substance abuse.
The band wrote this song after the departure of Emery and Rue in 1992. Love's lyrics painted a picture of internal turmoil masked by outward beauty. The lyrics expand on the main theme of self-image with the opening lines containing, I am the girl you know, so sick I cannot try. Sorry, I was reading it and I was trying to get the thing in my head, the tune in my head as I was reading it. So anyway, and later lyrics related to suffering. The use of the term kill me pills is inspired by and also a reference to Anne Sexton, who, after overdosing on phenobarbital and other barbiturates, called the drugs kill me pills.
There's a music video for this. The music video features Courtney Love as a beauty pageant contestant, further emphasizing the song's commentary on femininity and public scrutiny.
Yes.
And the song's catchy hook contrasts with the introspective and somber lyrics. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like R.E.M. would do this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they would make a real upbeat kind of, you know, I think Shiny Happy People is an example of that. You know, it's very, very upbeat with down lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To this day, this song gets stuck in my head at least 3 times a week. From the the I made my bed, I'll lie in it. So it's whoo, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, this does show that she was part of the feminist movement of the 90s.
Yes.
So, you know, it's a good song. I understood this one a little better than Violet, to be honest. And I don't mean understood the here's the thing, I didn't understand the meanings behind the song. I mean, I understood Courtney singing a little better as the album went on. So by the time the last song comes on, I can hear everything, you know.
Right.
But next track is Plump.
Yes.
Delves into body image and the expectations placed on women. Showcases Courtney's fearless confrontation of personal and societal issues. The song's aggressive instrumentation mirrors its biting lyrical content.
Yes. I mean, well, you have to... Okay. A backstory here. Courtney used to be heavier set back in the day.
Okay.
So, and then got a lot of flack for it. And we would even go on to say that, fat is the absolutely worst thing you could call somebody. Like, it's just, so, regardless of what's, just, yeah.
Yeah.
So the raw emotion in Lowe's vocal delivery adds a poignant touch to the song's hard-hitting message.
Yeah, because, I mean, it is pointed out, problems in body images between men and women.
Well, I mean, the line, you say I'm plump, but I throw up all the time, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
next we've got Asking for It.
Now, this is a tough one to talk about, people, so be prepared. This is your warning, okay?
Yeah. So this song was reportedly inspired by an incident where Love was crowd surfing and was physically violated by members of the
Yeah.
Courtney used to wear baby doll dresses, which that and there was a thing in the 90s where women would wear like nightgowns for dress, like slip dresses.
Yeah.
And so that was a thing. And sometimes people would take advantage of that.
Yes.
So the lyrics challenge the notion of victim blaming and consent, making it a powerful statement on personal boundaries and respect.
Yes.
The song's
The song's chorus underscores the irony of the victim blaming mentality, okay? Now, Courtney Love said in New York Magazine in 1996, she said, "We'd just gone off a tour with Mudhoney, and I decided to stage dive. I was wearing a dress, and I didn't realize what I was endangering in the audience. It was a large audience, and they were kind of going apeshit. So I just dove off the stage, and suddenly it was like my dress was being torn off me, my underwear was being torn off me, people putting their fingers inside me and grabbing my breasts really, really hard, screaming things in my ear like when I got back on stage, I was naked. I felt like Karen Finley. But the worst thing of all was that I saw a photograph of it with a smile on my face like I was pretending it wasn't happening. So later I wrote a song called Asking For It based on the whole experience. I can't compare it to rape because it's not the same, but in a way it was. I was raped by an audience, figuratively, literally, yet was I asking for it." So that right there is a tough song. And what's the best way to say this? A lot of Courtney's lyrics and a lot of Courtney's music comes from her own personal experience. And she had a lot of personal experience up to that point. And her, her coming out and first out writing that must have been a little cathartic, but singing it most nights.
Yeah.
You're going to relive that moment over and over and over and over again,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, next is Jennifer's Body. It was named after a friend of the band. This track combines dark, haunting imagery with a narrative about betrayal and body autonomy. It appears to tell the narrative of a woman in captivity being held in a box by the bed before eventually being murdered and dismembered.
The song has been interpreted by feminist scholars about literal violence against a woman's body, as well as using corporal fragmentation, representing a woman's body being enjoyed piecemeal in objectified parts.
It later inspired the title of the 2009 horror film with the same name, although the film's plot is unrelated to the song's content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Courtney had a few words to say about Jennifer's Body, the movie.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, okay.
Courtney has a few words to say about everything.
I was going to say, I mean, yeah.
But,
Okay, so the next track is, yeah.
Next part.
Okay, so Doll Parts is the next song.
Yes.
It is, to this day, my favorite song to play on guitar. It's one of Hole's most iconic tracks. It deals with vulnerability, love, and the desire to be whole. Courtney has stated that the song reflects her feelings of inadequacy and her longing for acceptance, both personally and professionally.
Courtney Love has mentioned that the song was written about her relationship with Kurt Cobain. "I had to write most of my lyrics on my arm in Sharpie as I ran out of paper. People were pounding on the door as I wrote it. It was played for the first time about an hour later at the Virgin Megastore in Boston. It was about a boy, Kurt, whose band had just left town and who I'd been sleeping with, who I heard was sleeping with 2 other girls. It was my way of saying, you are a fucking idiot if you don't choose me, and here's all the desire and fury that I love and feel for you. Good songs don't always come in 20 minutes, but the force was strong with this one, and it did. Anyway, I married that guy. Courtney Love in a Billboard magazine interview in 2020.
All right. So both the title of the song and the lyrical meaning are inspired by an encounter Love had with Cobain in 91 prior to their relationship and marriage. Love had sent Cobain a heart-shaped box scented with perfume and inside a porcelain doll, 3 dried roses, a miniature teacup, and shellac-covered seashells. So after Cobain's death in 94, doll parts took on a more tragic meaning, with Love giving anguished performances of the song on tour.
Yes, certain things would remind her a lot of the time on stage. It would just come out. Certain lyrics had a lot more meaning, said Patty Shamel behind the music, Courtney Love in 2010. This is probably the most famous Holt song out there, aside from Celebrity Skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one she wrote by herself. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the songwriting relationship is between Eric Edelson and Courtney Love. I don't know if one writes the music and one just writes the words. I don't know if they collaborate on lyrics and collaborate on music. So I'm not sure how it goes about. But you can tell that Edelson writes the majority of the music.
Yes.
Because this was a very, very basic played song.
Yes.
It was 3-chord rock, basically.
Yes.
You know, and I've seen people try and pull this song off with very, very limited success.
Yeah, it's one of those, there are certain songs it's hard to cover.
Yeah.
Unless you have your own well of despair to draw from.
Yeah.
And this is one of those.
Yeah. And the last time I saw this being performed, it was a performance piece, for lack of a better term, by the artist in general. Mm. The next song is Credited in the Straight World by Stuart Moxham. This track is a cover of a song by Young Marble Giants. Mm-hmm. Holt's version amps up the intensity, transforming a minimalist original into a grunge anthem. This song, the choice of this song reflects Love's diverse musical influences. I don't know much about this song. I tried pulling it up. The only thing I know about it is that the original Young Marble Giant, Stuart Moxham, was a gay man in the 70s in the UK. Mm-hmm. And which is, you know, he might as well have...
Yeah.
You know, he might as well just
it's
not
a good
existed.
Song.
It's a good song.
It's a really good song. It's one of those pumper-upper songs. Like, if you need to get up and get something done, slap Credit on the Straight World on.
There you go. But no, back to Stuart Moxham, let me clarify my statement real quick, because, you know, back in the 70s in the UK, if you were gay, you were an outcast. Yeah. Like a straight-up outcast. That's why Freddie Mercury and Elton John married women. Mm-hmm. And they didn't come out until the 80s, when being gay was more acceptable societally. Now, as far as I'm concerned, being gay is acceptable all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, but in society, unfortunately, it wasn't. Yeah. And I'm glad that, you know, we've come a long way since then, even though as the time of recording, there are idiots smashing up the UK.
Well, they were until the drag queen showed up.
Yeah. Y'all, let me tell you this real quick.
I looked at pictures yesterday. It was glorious.
Well, here's the thing, right? Brighton, New Orleans, Louisiana, is considered one of the
most inclusive, outside of like San Fran. But yeah.
Outside of San Francisco, New Orleans, Louisiana is considered like the gay capital of America. Mm-hmm. Okay, for lack of a better term. Well, Brighton in the UK is the gay capital of the UK. So what happened is these white flower idiots wanted to take our country back. Decided that they were going to protest outside a mosque because they believe that you know, after some dude murdered somebody, they tried to blame the Muslim community for it. Yeah. So they wanted to protest the mosque in Brighton, and they were outnumbered 50-1 by a counter protest led by drag queens.
Well, most of everybody left except for 4 dudes who were pinned up against a wall for hours while a samba band played.
I love the UK sometimes. I really do.
And then one guy was wrapped up in the flag. Yeah. And everybody on Twitter was like, "Oh, it was so nice of him to ask Sherry Hollowell if he could borrow her dress."
So yeah, just they're a bunch of idiots.
Yes.
They really are. Smashing up their communities under the guise of protecting their children.
Yeah.
When they've all got criminal records on their third divorce and have to see their kids with supervised visits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck those guys.
So.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. So next is Softer Softest. This one's a tough one, y'all.
Yeah.
So this song deals with themes of childhood abuse and trauma. Love's lyrics offer a raw and painful glimpse into her personal experiences. Now, I mentioned earlier that she was a trust fund baby.
Yeah.
That does not mean that she had a good upbringing at all. She actually, she didn't live at home. She ran away, and then she was in foster homes, and then she was emancipated, and she was bounced everywhere, and it was just it was not good.
No.
So
I mean, the original title of the song was called Pea Girl.
yes,
You know,
it was introduced in Hull's Unplugged performances about a girl that always smells like pee in your class. Oh, and Love claims that the song is autobiographical. It's considered one of this album's most emotionally resonant tracks.
yeah.
It features a more subdued and introspective approach compared to the album's more aggressive tracks. And it features Kurt on backing vocals.
So that must have been a hard one to do.
It's a hard one to listen to.
It's a hard one to listen to, and it must have been a hard one to do in the studio, especially with your husband there, you know. I mean, there are some things you want to share, and that's, you know, something that was probably very, very hard for her to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hard one to even listen to. So if anybody who has grown up in just abject bullshittery, it's sort of, yeah.
Yeah. So we're coming up to the second half of the album, or the fourth quarter of the album, depending on how you look at it. Second third of the album, excuse me. And I don't have as much research on these 4 tracks as maybe I should have. So these probably going to fly by. But She Walks on Me is known for its gritty guitar riffs and confrontational lyrics. Deals with themes of jealousy and competition.
Yes. It showcases Hull's punk influences.
Yep.
It features a heavier punk-influenced sound, and this track stands out for its abrasive sonic assault and confrontational lyrics. It's seen as a testament to the band's versatility and Love's unapologetic vocal delivery.
I can't imagine Courtney Love apologizing for anything.
No.
Especially her art, definitely not, but like just in general, you know. She strikes me as somebody who doesn't do anything wrong.
She's definitely a character. Yes. Okay, I love Courtney, but I mean there is a healthy amount of narcissism there.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's also an argument to be made of this is before Me Too. Like this is and back then, and when she was trying to break into everything, it was very much a, you know, women were
objects.
Yeah, big time. And they existed for pretty much to look pretty and for other carnal desires. Yeah. So, there was anger there, a lot of anger. And I don't blame her one bit.
No.
So, yeah.
No. Next track is I Think That I Would Die. This song touches on Courtney Love's struggles with motherhood and the public scrutiny she faced, particularly concerning the custody battle over her daughter. Was that pot stirred by Billy Corgan? I remember watching something that he stirred that pot a little bit.
Oh yeah, well, at the time they were all poking each other fiercely with stuff. I mean, yeah. Poor Bean, but you know, Bean is now married.
Yes.
To Tony Hawk's kid.
Yes. That's an odd one.
And it was officiated by her godfather, Michael Stipe. And her godmother, I don't know if her godmother, Drew Barrymore, was there or not, but, whew, man, yeah. Because at the time, Drew was dating Eric.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes.
And, you know, we all know Michael Stipe's relationship with Kurt Cobain was very, very close.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
We talked about that on the New Adventures in Hi-Fi episode.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Stipe had like a 2-year period where he lost like 5 of his closest friends, you know, and that was his catharsis.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The lyrics are reference Rosemary's Baby, a nod to Love's feelings about persecution and invasion of privacy. Mm-hmm. The raw emotion in Love's performance makes it one of the album's most impactful tracks. Now, the song is co-written by Kat Belland from Babes in Toyland fame, because her and Love were previously in a band called the Pagan Babies,
which is a precursor to Babes in Toyland. So yeah, yeah, that's a toughie too. Next we go into Gutless, which is a straightforward punk rock track characterized by its aggressive energy and confrontational lyrics. Its title reflects an unapologetic approach, again, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, she had a healthy dose of narcissism, but she had to have it in order to survive at this point.
Yeah.
It delivers a blistering critique of cowardice and conformity, with Love's lyrics challenging listeners to confront their fears and stand up for themselves. Yes.
Yeah, it's straightforward punk. I mean, heavy, just... It's what you consider... It's a typical whole song from this period, basically, from you know, in terms of musical style. Not in terms of content, so to speak.
Yes.
Go ahead. No, because, you know, we've talked a lot about the meanings of the songs. We haven't talked about the style of the songs yet. And this album is very, very stylistic, you know. And it is very, very, you know, 3-chord rock in a lot of places, but very, very heavy and very, very, you know.
Right.
You got a lot of things going on here, but compositionally, it's a great album. It really, really is.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. And then the whole album wraps up with
with a fustercluck.
Yes. Okay, so there was a song called Olympia. Well, there was a song called Rockstar. Well, originally Rockstar was going to be the last track of the album, and that's what all the printed, you know, the album cover, everything, the liner notes, all that stuff was going to be Rockstar. Last minute it was switched, but the name was not changed on the album. So, due to a last-minute decision, the track listed as Rockstar on the album is actually a different song, intended to critique the Riot Grrrl movement and its perceived elitism. The original Olympia was replaced with Rockstar for the album's final cut, but the mislabeling remained, adding an element of confusion and intrigue to the album's lore.
Yeah, this is something that Courtney Love found amusingly ironic.
Yes.
So, you know, it's actually ironic, not...
I went to school in Olympia. Yeah.
Okay. So, Sarah, what do you think of the album overall, out of 10?
The album is extremely important to me because, I mean, it literally helped me to survive at a couple of different places. So I'm going to give this one a 30 out of 10.
Okay, that's good. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I mean, it's very, very good. I like the tunage of it. The subjects are very, very hard to listen to. But then again, good music is not always easy to listen to.
No.
You know? Yeah. So, I mean, Live Through This captures the raw spirit of 90s alternative rock scene, combining deeply personal lyrics with powerful, gritty instrumentation. Excuse me.
Its themes of femininity, vulnerability, and resilience resonate as strongly today as they did upon its release.
Yes. I mean, this is a timeless album.
Yes.
You know, you can say, well, punk movement is dead and it sounds dated, but if you listen to it all, it'll make sense. The album says it's a crucial document to the era and remains a touchstone for discussions about gender, celebrity, authenticity, and rock music. Yeah, I agree with that. Because Hole were one of the very few successful female-led bands out there. You know?
The tragedy surrounding the release and the tour made the album come across as more haunting than it, you know, could have been.
Yeah, if Cobain and Pfaff didn't pass, do you think this album would have been seen as for what it was rather than what it is seen as right now?
Maybe. I'm not sure. It definitely made everything a hell of a lot more poignant. I know that.
Yeah.
Hole would take time off and end up releasing Celebrity Skin in 1998.
Yes.
And Courtney, meanwhile, will be seen as going off the rails during this time, with many unflattering depictions of her in the media.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, she lost her husband, tried to go straight back into work, was battling a drug problem. Homegirl had some stuff going on, but she also got clean in this period, too, and went back to acting.
Yes. I mean, she was awesome in The People vs. Larry Flint. She really, really was. She was all right in Man on the Moon, and the reason I say that is because she was overshadowed by Jim Carrey and Danny DeVito.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's hard to outshine those guys. So her role was as the girlfriend, and I think she got typecast as the girlfriend.
A little bit, yeah. So, and she is referred to as the patron saint of our podcast, the podcast.
Yes.
One of two, with her Man of the Moon co-star Jim Carrey being the other. They like to pop up. It's very 6 degrees of separation in the 90s. You're gonna link to one or the other. Yes, and the patron saint thing is also because I love her.
Yes, so. I mean, let's be real for a minute, right? And then we'll sign off. Courtney Love is probably one of the most tragic figures in rock music, who's still alive.
Yeah. I mean, whew, that woman is held together by sheer determination and duct tape at this point. I mean, I don't know, like super glue for the soul. Bless her, just bless her. Whew. Yeah.
Because she's been through a lot.
Yeah.
She's been through a lot. But, so that wraps up our discussion on Live Through This. Mm-hmm. Sarah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
You'll be back here in a little while. I don't know when you'll be back, but you'll be back here in a little while.
I mean, you can't get rid of me.
Can't get rid of you.
I keep turning up like a penny.
Like a penny.
Yeah.
Yes. We will be back here in a couple of minutes where we talk about what's coming up next week. Sarah will be back here in a couple of weeks. And, I think we're good. So, we're done. We'll talk to you here in a minute.
Bye.
My sincerest thank you to Sarah for once again coming on. I know she's very, very busy, and we decided to do this first thing in the morning. So, I appreciate her taking her time before she goes off to work, before I have to work. And, so it was good to have her on. Sarah will be back on October 27th, where we do our Halloween episode on Army of Darkness. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Look forward to your calendar there. That's going to be in 2 or 3 episodes time, I think, because it's coming out on... Yeah, we got 2 more episodes before we get to the Halloween episode. So Sarah's going to be back in 2 episodes time, and it will be a lot of fun to have her on talking about one of my favorite movies going into it. Next week, I'm joined by Greg Gregory. As we sit down, he's joining us for the first time this season. We're going to sit down and talk about Nickelodeon's Doug. And I want to make the distinction between Nickelodeon's Doug and Disney's brand spanking new Doug. One was an awesome cartoon with a lot of message, a lot of heart, and a lot of distinction. And the other one was a generic Disney cartoon with the same characters. So we'll explain the difference next week, but we're going to go ahead and talk about the Nickelodeon version, which we ranked as one of the top animated shows of the 90s back in our animation ranked episode way, way back in the day. So and we ranked the Doug knockoff as crap. So, and that's really it. I don't really have anything else to say. As of recording, I don't have any news on the 90s Gamer or Dead Streamer, but I should have some news next week. So I'll have something sorted by next episode, and I'll let you guys know what I've got going on with that. But in the meantime, if you like what you hear, go check out Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podchaser, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podbean, or Amazon Music. That's where you'll find our podcast, okay? That's where you'll find us if you're not listening. If you just stumbled upon this podcast and you have a podcast place that you listen to, we're on there, okay? Don't forget to check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. That's where you'll find the latest news and what's happening of the Because of Me Network. And don't forget to check out becausemaybepodcast.com. That's got our archive of every show that we've ever done, ever. So, yeah. That is it. I want everybody to have a real good weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And yeah, that's all I got. So take it easy, everybody. Bye.